Hi everyone, my name's Holly, and this is my New York City apartment. So my fiance Ben and I have lived in this apartment for about 2 years now, and this is our first apartment in New York City. It's in Midtown East, specifically Turtle Bay, which is a really quiet little area of the city. It's not not a place that like a lot of younger people want to live in because it's so quiet, but personally Ben and I like really love it. And it's kind of centrally located, so we can get pretty much anywhere we need to go, downtown or uptown. It's really easy to get to both. We are pretty close to Grand Central, so that is an awesome bonus traveling wise. When you first come in, it's the front door here, and then we have a little coat rack where we keep whatever coats we're using at the time. Everywhere in little New York City apartments you have to look for storage solutions. So we both have a lot of shoes. I have 2 racks here, and then Ben has one on the bottom here. And this is actually a thrifted piece I found, and I think it's supposed to be a like coat and cubby rack for preschool and kindergarten classrooms. There is little hooks that are here that are supposed to hold the jackets of like a small child. That's another little task I need to do, take those off, but right now you really can't see them unless you're like ducking under. This is a mirror that I also thrifted and just thought it was really cool with the flamingo design. Most of my pieces throughout are all vintage thrifted, or they're pieces from like my grandparents or family members, because I try and keep pieces that are special to me so that every time I see something it's more meaningful than it's just a thing I bought in a store once. This is thrifted. That is this little frog who holds our laundry card. It's thrifted and it makes me smile every time I see it. This is a basket that we keep all of our reusable bags in, so super important in New York City, just carrying bags everywhere you go because you never know what you're going to pick up. And then we also keep hats here. So right off the entranceway is the kitchen, right over here. Overall, I think it's a pretty good size for New York City apartments. Generally, in New York City, kitchens are really small. And I think overall, yes, this is a small kitchen, but we have a dishwasher and a good amount of space, cabinet space up here, which you don't always get. We're able to put like all of our dishes and have a little area for a pantry, and we have a big size fridge, which again is kind of a luxury in New York. Keep it pretty minimal on this side. We have a little goofy picture of Ben and I, and a market list, which we keep ideas of Ben's inventions on. And then the other side gets a little more cluttered with goofy type things, little birds that we sponsor at a farm sanctuary. We have my 2 prized kitchen things, which is the Vitamix blender here. I have to keep the top part up in a cabinet because it's just too tall for this area. And then my Smeg toaster, which is just the cutest little toaster ever. Matches with the aesthetic really well. Keep a few cookbooks and recipes here. Ben and I aren't huge cookers or chefs, whatever you want to call it, but we try. And we have a little vase here. It actually broke at one point, but I glued it back together, and I kind of like the look of the cracks that are showing, very wabi-sabi looking. We have these glass 4 bottles. Each one is a different shape, but they're a really cute set. These were something that I got when I worked in a furniture store, which was my first job out of college, and actually a lot of the pieces I have are from there. I've always been super interested in interior design, and that job just kind of like catapulted me toward that stuff. This wooden bowl keeps all of our dish rags and cloths, so we try not to use too many paper towels, but you know, we're not perfect. We have these little vitamin canisters. They're just, I think, bathroom canisters, but I keep vitamins in them. I think they're from Firm Living. And our mortar and pestle, which I love doing like guacamole in. And And this is probably one of my favorite vintage finds. This is a glass bowl, and it's got like a double layer, so I love having fruit like oranges, apples, bananas in it. It just looks really cool. And I always keep a candle pretty much in every room. I run a small business that makes candles, so they just kind of appear all over the apartment. And I also make room sprays, so those also appear around the apartment. Over here we have our spice racks. Ben crafted this a few years ago. It's a little wobbly, but it's a sweet thing to look at. It makes me smile. And this is our bar cart, which actually isn't really used for bar cart stuff. It is more of a work thing. When I'm doing candle production, I'll pull this out and wheel it over to where I'm pouring, and I've got all like my instruments and stuff on here. And then finally, this is our extra storage in the kitchen. So this is one of the IKEA Kallax or Expedit or something. I think it changed names. And we've had this, I think, in every single apartment Ben and I have lived in. It holds like a hardware drawer, a little arts and crafts supply storage, like stationery, pretty much just all this stuff that you have around your house but never really have a good spot for. So we've kind of condensed it all into this. The top bar here I made into a little tea section, and a couple tinctures, but this is my little, probably my favorite little spot in the kitchen. And then the other side we have kind of our, I don't know, get ready area. We have scissors that we open packages with, lighters for candles, room sprays, that sort of stuff. And then on top I keep all extra like kitchen linens. And then this is a vintage glass vase, and then keep a bottle of wine. But this is the first thing that sold me on this apartment. This view is insane. It's a small apartment, but the view is so expansive that it just makes it feel huge in here. Certain times of day you can just see like so far in the distance. You can actually see the Empire State Building and even the Chrysler Building, and we can see both of those from our bed too when we're lying in bed, which is amazing. Like waking up and just seeing the Empire State Building is crazy. One of the first things you notice when you come in this living room is that there's a ton of these white IKEA cabinets. One of the things we had to deal with when we came to this apartment is because it's a one bedroom. I also run a candle business, so we had to figure out how I was gonna still run that business while living here. This was my solution. These store like all my production stuff. They're just full of oil, waxes, jars, and then candles for sale, like the inventory. I think they do a really good job because they kind of give it a built-in look. They're not perfect, but I think it doesn't like draw your eye too much toward them, which is what I was trying to do, so that you don't see all this stuff. You just, your eye gets pulled to something else that I have purposely put there. So that would be like all these things on top that I've decorated on top of both sections of the cabinets. These are my great-grandmother's sterling silver candlesticks. There's a lot of patina on them, but I kind of like that because it gives them just a lot of character. And then we have like the dreaded TV, which is so hard to decorate with, but I think this works pretty well. I put some magazines and a book underneath, and then I've got an air plant. And over here I have a couple books, and then this glass piece, which is from a company called Lock, which is actually a shoe company, but they have a couple home goods pieces that are really beautiful, and I think this is a hand-blown glass. There's another one in the entryway too. Really pretty. I like having pieces that have something unique about them. The rest of this corner kind of blends into the jungle, as I like to call it. So there's a lot of plants. My grandfather was a botanist, so he had a ton of plants, and he gave a bunch of them to me and to my mom, and my mom gives them to me all the time too. So it's just kind of a crazy family cycle of plants passing back and forth. We have some big ones like this palm guy, and then I've got some smaller ones like cacti and succulents over here. There's a couple others down here, which you really only notice once you're sitting on the couch over here. I've also got in the corner a ladder that I found at a flea market, and then this vintage lamp, which I kind of have a DIY idea in mind for. It's a little bit too shiny brass for me, and I think I want to paint it like a darker color. It gives me like vintage street lamp vibes, and I think if I do like a really dark brown or black, like a matte black, I'd get more of that. So, project for the future. Next thing you'll see in the apartment is this couch. So it's a sectional, it's actually called a bisectional, which means that you can move the piece that comes out to either side, left or right, which has been really helpful because we've had this in every apartment Ben and I have had, and depending on each apartment's layout, this has to move sometimes. It's from a company called Gus Modern, but I got it through work at the furniture store I worked at right after college. They had a really cool program where they basically gave bonuses in like furniture points, which meant that you could put those toward buying furniture. And I got a couch out of that. And as you know, couches are really expensive, so it was very helpful to have a little help from work to get that. And this couch has held up really well. It's come to every apartment with us, and I plan on keeping it going forward. Then we have this coffee table. It's not really a coffee table, it's a trunk that we're using as a coffee table. It's been repainted to this white and gold color. I think originally it was green and brown, which I can just see in some of the chips. I think it could definitely use a new coat of paint because it's just kind of wearing away, but honestly I really like the look of that. It just makes it look like it's lived a lot of lives, and I like that. On the coffee table I've decorated the tray, and then I have this really cool handmade stoneware bowl set with matching pieces, and it has this really cool cutout detail that I like. Contrasts really nicely with the white, and like I said, there's candles everywhere, so I've got one burning now. And then we come over here on the end of the couch. These are timber tables, which are by the same company that makes the couch, Gus Modern. They're acrylic and they mimic like the grain of wood. On top I have a little thrifted piece I found, and then some vintage books, and this little brass fish, which is something that my grandfather used to tell my brother and I and my cousin stories with. So it's a really special piece that I like to keep around. And then we come over here to the big wall of the cabinets. So again, these have like all of the candles and stuff like that in them. Starting on this end, I have an orchid. So the jungle kind of moved a little bit in this corner. And then I use this really tall mirror to bounce light around the room and to just kind of bring your eye up a little bit. And next to it, this is a vessel from my grandmother, as well as these two prints of dried like botanical specimens. And I love to decorate with like dried florals and just natural items. So this is a coral from my grandfather. He liked to keep a lot of little trinkets around his study and area. This is also from him. It's a skeleton of a cactus, which I just think is so cool looking. And then this is an Eames bird. This is also from the company where I got my couch, or the furniture store that I worked at. And more dried florals because I love them. And a glass vintage bottle. And then over here, with this little section where I have a smaller version of the ladder that I've thrifted at a flea market, and they're across the room from each other, and I think it's a nice little tie-in. I've got another mirror, which again, just I think brings the light around the room. And then a vintage little shell lamp, which I really like. And then over here, so I have a set of two of these wishbone chairs, and they are like the original wishbone chairs, not replicas, from the company that I worked for. Again, would never have been able to afford something like this, but through deals at work and stuff, I was able to get a pair of these, and these are something that are gonna be passed down. If I ever have kids, it'll go to them, grandkids. It should stay in our family forever because they're just really special pieces. They're really great quality, and they're just very iconic. I've got this vintage little set of bells here, which I really love. Again, it's another thing that draws your eye up. I think it looks really cool there. And then this is a project I did recently. I wanted some sort of art or something for this area, but I tend to not be drawn toward like bright colors, mostly because if I buy something in a bright color, I always find myself regretting it like a month later because I want a different color and I can't stay on one color theme. So what I've done a lot in both like my wardrobe and my home decor is keep with a lot of neutrals. It just gives me like a zen, calming feeling. And then I'm keeping stuff around forever. I can pop in little bright colors if I want here or there without making like giant color statements through furniture or really big pieces. This whole area is my like workstation studio kind of thing. When I'm pouring candles, I will just like clear off this whole space and then I'll cover it in candles that I'm working on. And pretty much everything in these drawers is for the candle business. I've got on top just a little riser. I think this is for a desktop computer, but I like to just have some variation in my surfaces. I think it's just a nice way to design a vintage book. And then I've got this little prehistoric fossil fish thing, which I got on a trip going across the country with my dad. I don't know, it was cute and quirky and I like having it out. I also have this vintage vase, which I just think is such a cool design. It's like a double circle. And I keep a couple pieces of straw in here just to finish the piece off. And like I said, there's candles everywhere. And then this little area is kind of like a work area with notes for whatever, like packaging notes and stuff like that related to the business, calendar, and a couple pieces of like inspiration. Yeah, this living room serves double duty and I think it does a good job of doing that. So continuing off the living room, we go down this tiny hallway and then we have first a little jacket closet. Brace your ears because it is squeaky, very squeaky. Kind of a mess, but it's where we keep all of our linens, jackets, all of that stuff. It's the only closet in the apartment that isn't like our clothing closet, so it houses everything. Right here we have 3 wooden baskets that I use when I go to markets with my candles, and I had to find a place to incorporate them into the living room without it looking like just random storage. So I kind of made this bench type thing with some dried lavender, air plant, another plant that escaped the jungle area. And then right here we have the bathroom. So it's small, it's very small, but it's a New York bathroom and it has everything we need, you know, toilet, sink, shower, we're good. Technically it's a tub, so that's kind of a big deal in New York because usually you just have like a standing shower. We have this vintage white wooden wicker piece that I put on the wall to house like cotton pads and stuff like that, little Q-tips. And then down here we have a little handmade ceramic piece that I have which holds eucalyptus. I love getting eucalyptus, and then when you do a shower and you get the steam from the shower going, which you get a lot of it in a tiny bathroom like this, it just releases such a nice scent. I have a little shell that I love and I keep like extra soaps and stuff in there, a room spray, and this little wooden cabinet which I keep like towels and all of that kind of stuff in it. And then over in this corner I have this little brass floral arrangement thing and a couple of fans that I thrifted. I feel like overall the bathroom is pretty well designed. Like I tried to keep like warm colors and keep it homey feeling in here because it's such a small cold place just because it's all white. I also have these little towels which I don't remember the company that makes them. So from this area of the living room and entranceway we have our bedroom. So come on in. Again, we have the IKEA cabinets. This is actually an older version of them when they used to make them as one big solid doors, which I actually like better, but they don't make them like that anymore. I think that's a future DIY thing I'm going to do with all of them, but make the doors a little more custom. This is kind of like our wardrobe. We have like sweaters and pants and then other random stuff in here. On top, I have another silver thing for my great-grandmother. Again, it's got the same patina as the candlesticks in the living room. I really love it. Just has a lot of character. Then we have this little ceramic vessel, just super cute. And then this is an IKEA lamp from probably like 8 years ago. I didn't want the shade on it, but it had that kind of like ugly plastic bit, so I glued jute rope over it. I think it actually came out kind of cool. It's like minimal with like a little rusticy boho something going on. I actually regret not buying a second one because I think it would look really cool as like two on the side. I would love another one over there, but they don't make them anymore, so have to find something else. Our TV, we have the frame TV, which is really awesome, except in here it didn't make sense to hang it on the wall because of this cabinet situation, because the cabinets are pretty deep. We wanted to keep the TV a little bit closer, but basically our next apartment, this is getting hung on the wall because that is like the most exciting thing about this TV, that you can do that. On this side, I have a little tester candle and a glass, I think it's like a pitcher. I think you see these in restaurants now, but I just love the shape of it. Put some dried florals in it. And then this is a little frame. It's got a feather from, I had a pet bird for 27 years. He passed away, but I keep a little feather of his around because it's just a little reminder. In this corner, we've got like drying rack, necessities of life. And we've got these linen drapes, which I think look pretty nice in here. I wish they were a little bit longer, but the color is really nice. And then I have this bookcase, which my grandfather made me when I was probably like 5 or 6, and I've just kept it everywhere. There's something just about like handmade solid furniture that's, you can't get that in other places. Keep all my books on it, as well as Ben's books, and then some orchids that escaped the little jungle area. And right over here, again, we have these beautiful windows that have a really great view. We get a ton of sunlight, which you can see right now on the bed. There's points in this apartment during the afternoon where it gets so sunny in here that Ben and I feel like we need sunglasses on, which is a really awesome problem to have. I love this bed frame. This is from CB2, maybe 5 years ago. I wasn't expecting it to be like such high quality, but it is solid wood and it has survived every single move we've done. And there have definitely been some points where the movers have like really been harsh on it, and a lot of our furniture hasn't survived all the moves. So this piece is awesome. If they ever re-release this, get it, because it's awesome and beautiful. The cane webbing is just such a really pretty design. At the foot of the bed, we have this little bench. I think it's technically a kid's thing from IKEA, but I like the shape of it. I think I want to change the color of it because it kind of has like white hue, but like kind of purplish blue, and I think I want to stain it really dark because I think it would just look nicer in this shape if it was a darker wood. But that's a project for the future. It has storage in it too, so we keep like clothing and stuff in it. Again, anywhere you can find extra storage in New York, it's great. We keep slippers underneath, and then a couple books that we're reading right now, as well as I have this little linen bird thing I got when I was in Amsterdam, and we like to just kind of keep it here. It's sort of like having a stuffed animal, but not really. Over on this side is my nightstand. Got a couple books, a really cool lamp from this woman who hand carves them. Check her out. I think her company's called EMO Wood Designs, and a vintage mirror, which I found when I was visiting my parents at a little antique shop near their house, and candle and spray, because again, every room they exist. Got a full-length mirror here, and then a couple little vintage bags I found. And then this is the other really cool part of this apartment. Look at how big these closets are. So this is not normal in New York. Usually you have like one section, maybe two, and then like that's it. But this entire wall is closets. So we've split it down so that Ben gets half and I get half. His half is here. I won't open it. Give him some privacy on that. This is my side over here. So big. It's messy, but I have both hanging room for a whole ton of shoes, and a couple of drawers, as well as space on top. I'm just basically floor to ceiling storage. Yeah, this is not possible in most New York apartments, so that was pretty exciting. basically the closet sold me and that view sold me on this apartment the second I walked in. And then over in this section, so we have a stool, step ladder thing that we use when we need to get up higher in the closet, or I mean, I'm really short, so getting up in any of the cabinets in the kitchen, I need this. And then whatever purse I'm using currently kind of just sits here. And then behind the door, sorry for the squeak, is my little like get ready area. So I have this dresser thing which I keep like makeup, hair stuff, and other random accessories in. I have perfumes, a vintage mirror, and then a ton of necklaces. I know I have a lot. I've basically thrifted, I don't know, 80-90% of them, so they're all very cost effective, but they're just fun to play with when I'm trying to dress something up. I have this little glass vase, which is, I know I've said this probably 10 times, but definitely one of my favorite pieces. I just think it's so cool, where you can see that extra little glass piece there. A couple other cool pieces. I have this handmade ceramic dish, which I keep like my skincare and beauty stuff in, and a little marble dish, which I like to keep rings in and other jewelry I'm wearing. And then I also have a couple hooks and the door knob to keep some bags on. And that is our full 1-bedroom apartment in New York City. Thanks for coming along and seeing all the spaces we've created here. We're going to be moving soon, which is very exciting because we'll be getting more space, but also really sad because we'll be losing things like this wonderful view, and we've just really loved living here. So subscribe if you want to see some more of this. I'm going to be doing some interior design things and other design related videos, and thanks so much.